It's Let's Talk Broncos, Bree Maestas, Joey Richards. It's Zach's turn this time to be voted off the island. I don't know how it keeps happening like this, but I feel like one of us always loses out. And unfortunately, tonight was Zach's night, but I've got Joey here with me. Joey, off of a win that felt like a loss, that felt like a win. I don't know. As you can see, got some cool take homes from the throwback game against the Raiders. 10-7 in Denver. A win's a win to me. How did you feel about that game on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, takeaways. The win is a win. You just get tired of winning that exact same way, I think, is the sentiment in Broncos country, and I understand it completely. The blame game has already started. Who's at fault? Who are we going to make the issue? And the debates there have been crazy. They've been nauseating. I think everyone, what doesn't matter what side you're on of that, you're sitting there looking at it like, man, we are sick and tired of it. I hope the offense can just put a performance together. And there would be no better game than this upcoming week to actually have that happen.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's going to be a measuring stick, not only for where the Broncos are, but the AFC West in itself is on the line with this game. And I think it's really important to note that the Broncos are in a good position right now, being in the midseason, having a little bit of a mini bye, but then having an actual bye after KC. I think you kind of maybe wanted that beforehand, but that is the way that the cards fall. And the Chiefs are coming off of a bye week. So that has a lot of implications. But it was interesting. I was looking at what CBS Sports was saying, and this game is a lot more important to Kansas City than I first thought, not only for their playoff hopes, but for, any chance that they have to win the AFC West. So this game in particular, I don't think can be constituted as a trap game for KC, but I do feel like they're probably in sorts of being in a headspace of, I don't know, being backed into a corner, maybe being a little bit defensive, and maybe having a lot higher implications. The Broncos' odds really for the playoffs only fall about 3% if they lose this game. But at the end of the day, you don't want to lose to a division rival, especially the Chiefs, because it is officially hate week. Last week didn't count because it's the Raiders. Sorry, not sorry. But now it's big implications, and it could be a shocker, I think. I think most of Broncos country has already been hesitant anyways, qualifying themselves as the worst team in the NFL. I mean, It's hard. It's hard as you see all these wins rack up. You're on a 7-game win streak. You're approaching the opportunity in an 8th. And your offense can't find a spark. That gets a wrench thrown into the entire plan because the news of J.K. Dobbins really being up in the air, the team is being super tight-lipped about it. Suffering that midfoot injury could possibly implicate maybe some turf toe, but they didn't move to put him on the IR. Instead, they moved to put Kareem Reed on there. But what does that make you feel about, one, his status, two, the state of the Broncos offense, and specifically 3, what does it mean for the run game, Joey?
So the Dobbins injury hurts, Bree. I think it really hurts. I mean, Dobbins is like, I tweet it, I feel like every Sunday, actually. Mm-hmm. Where would this Broncos offense be without J.K. Dobbins? He's ended up being one of the better backs in the NFL this year, behind a really good offensive line as well, I would say. Especially in an offense that's always trying to, like, the attempt of this Broncos offense, it hasn't turned out good so far, but the attempt, what they're trying to do is play in front of the sticks constantly. That's why you see so many screens. They're trying to negate as many negative plays as possible. And a good way of doing that is running the football, these wide receiver screens you see. But for the people that hate wide receiver screens, I think you're going to see an uptick in that this next week 1. I think you're going to see an uptick in it without a running back. All of these are extensions of the run, so you're probably going to see more of that. That's what the little Jordan Humphrey signing indicates to me as well. And then the other facet of this, though, is that, okay, you lost J.K. Dobbins, but you just drafted a running back in the 2nd round, 24 years old, not a young rookie. It's more than fair to say, hey, we need to see some productive play out of this guy. We need to see it. It's a running back position. These guys usually don't last very well. They don't age well past their first rookie contract. And yeah, I mean, if it's not now, when for RJ Harvey. I think by the time J.K. Dobbins comes back this year, there's been no timetable on when he comes back. It's very mysterious. But by the time he comes back, let's say it's 4 weeks from now, you'll have an idea of what to expect from RJ Harvey going forward. Is he just that pass catching guy out of the backfield, or is he something a little more? Is he going to be somebody that can tote the rock on occasion? If your running back goes down, can he fill that and do really well? I think Sean's always going to have a split backfield here in Denver, but yeah, I think you're going to end this with a pretty clear picture of what to expect from him going forward, and honestly be able to decide whether, hey, was this worth the 60th pick of the NFL draft, or was it not?
Yeah, it's interesting. I did like your point, right? You're not big on trying to place that amount of emphasis on a running back specifically. I mean, talent takes a little bit to discern itself and work itself out, especially because the Broncos are still finding an identity. But now is the time. If you're going to tote the idea of next man up, as the Broncos are now being challenged to do, this is the opportune moment in which you're going to see that after. Outside of an RJ Harvey, you're seeing it with the Pat Surtain injury. So the Broncos are hobbling along here at the midpoint season. After the bye, it's probably going to be a different story. Thankfully, they've got a head start on a lot of these teams. Jamie Weisner said it. Broncos brought little Jordan Humphrey back? ? Yes, we can confirm they absolutely did so. And honestly, I got to find the clip of me saying it at some point, but we've all said it once before. This is an inevitability, especially because the guy knows the playbook. He has no problems integrating back into Sean Payton's system. And I don't really think that there's that far off when you talk about how important he can be to certain strategies within Sean Payton's offense. So now it seems a little bit backwards that you would go around and, I don't know, make a choice like Trent Sherfield, bring in a guy like Mercedes Lewis, and then you're right back where you started with a little Jordan Humphrey, but I'm not mad at it. I think it's a good coverall for what they need to do to survive some of these injuries. Although I do want to work into this conversation as well. Marvin Mims was a full participant today, so that bodes well for him being available on Sunday. No confirmation yet. Joey, what was your initial reaction to Lil Jordan Humphrey being back on the Broncos?
I'm not mad at it, and I don't think it really interferes with the Mercedes Lewis signing. I think it's more so. Here's my question: if Evan Ingram was just balling out right now, is this a signing the Broncos make? That's my type of thing. Like if I were really in on Evan Ingram as a downfield blocker, or even past that, if he was as good of a receiver as I wanted him to be, where, hey, I'm going to throw him out there in any situation because he's that good of a player. Is this a signing the Broncos make? That's kind of where it is concerning to me. I think in a lot of it, if little Jordan Humphrey does see the field, here's another facet of this whole thing. The Broncos signed somebody from the Giants practice squad, and it immediately turned into the most controversial thing ever. Can we please catch a break, people?
Well, let's talk about that, Joey, because I think that there is a lot of kicked puppy syndrome within Broncos country, right? Like the team is 8-2. You wouldn't know if you combed the Twitter feed and you possibly had just woken up from a coma. You would think that it's the same story as the last decades past of waffling through a lot of uncertainty. And I don't think that it's unfounded necessarily, but there's also a lot of hope that this is a great showing from a team that's getting carried by their defense and ultimately are, failing to make it click on all cylinders. Like if you're not firing off on all three phases of football, then you have an issue because the defense cannot carry an entirety of a team. But honestly, this defense seems to be of the caliber in which they're proving they can do just that. So what do you think is the rule of the emphasis of Broncos country being extremely uncomfortable with the state of the team?
Yeah, so I think there's multiple things to this. I think there might be a little extra or too much defending of the offense, guys. It's just been flat out bad. I think that's true. But with that, all the conversation being offense, it's made it where we're almost underselling this defense, in my opinion, because we're also worried about the offense. But this defense is what's winning you football games right now. And everyone is acting like it's just going to come back down to earth, or everything's just going to crash back down to earth. You can win with good defenses in the NFL. I think the issue with it is a year-to-year basis. It's not sustainable, but in a year, it's more than sustainable. It's not like the Broncos are losing any of these players, granted injury, right? Knock on wood, but they're not going like it's, Pat Surtain's not going to leave the Broncos this year. Like the team that they have is the team that they have on their defense, and it's been phenomenal. The Broncos defense is going to keep them in close games this year, and a lot of them. There's only a few teams where it'd be like, man, this one, it really worries me because this offense can just put up so many points. I mean, the Cowboys were on a tear offensively going into that Broncos game. Broncos defense more than did their job, right? Kept it a close game the entire time through. I think you can continue to expect that from this defense. That's just something they're going to do. When you have a really good defense limiting the other's team points and your offense isn't scoring that many points, yes, the game's going to be close. It's not the Broncos playing down to their opponents. No, they're the same team every week. The defense has been really good and the offense hasn't been very good. So, yeah, I think that. I think the Broncos are a plenty fine football team because of their defense. It's just if you could get an uptick in the offense, that's going to be the difference between them really, being a contender or not.
Right, absolutely. And I think that is where I'm glad you highlighted it. The defense really isn't getting a whole lot of that emphasis because you were talking about like one to be compared with a championship caliber defense. And because the offense is just so paltry, you're having this war of worlds of like, yes, but, and that's the unfortunate circumstances of all of that. Very quickly, there was a question Jamie followed up with, has Lil Jordan played the season? Yeah, absolutely. 4 receptions, 55 yards, no touchdowns, an average of 13.8. So a little bit of yak there coming off. Looks like Mike followed up and
he's been, I will say, if my memory serves me, I'm not going to pretend like I did a whole film study on Lil Jordan Humphrey this year, right? But just via my eyes on the Giants when he has played, it's been a little different of a role than he's played in Denver. Like they're using him like a true, when he does see the field, like a true X. Go throw it up and I'm going to try to come down with it type of guy. Whereas with the Broncos, he's kind of a power slot. He's a lead blocker in so many of these situations, going out to the screens. He's a run filler. Like he'll go crack at the end in the run game. That's how the Broncos are going to use him.
Yes, but I also think because Sean Payton is Sean Payton, that there is going to be a little bit of a draw up there for Lil Jordan specifically because we trust his hands. And as we all know, fans of the game, as we've been watching the Broncos, drops continue to be an embattled part of why Bo Nix seems to be just having a rough go at it when he does decide to air it out. I'd like to see a little bit of stretched yardage there, and maybe absolutely Lil Jordan can play some emphasis there. Jamie follows up with, I like this move. I like it too. I think it's a good fit. And you get the attrition of working through injuries and maybe some signings that didn't work, and you can go back to a fail-safe. And that is not a disparaging comment to Lil Jordan Humphrey. So, Joey, before we move on, you mentioned the defense and being able to retain, and guys aren't going anywhere. It's time to ask your confidence level on a JFM signing, 1 to 100. It's been a couple of weeks. The conversation came up back again that he's reaffirmed that no talks are ongoing. I think this one is continuing to slide south. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's a super valuable part to this defense. It's just comes down to the business of it. I don't know if you can just pay your entire defensive line. Like, you're going to need to find value in there as well. And what I mean by value is the Broncos drafted a 3rd-round guy, and he's playing relatively cheap and well at that. You're going to need guys like that to fill up every position group on this team, and just paying both your edges. You already have two of your interior defensive linemen locked up. It's hard for me to imagine, especially because he deserves a bag. That's the other part of this. It isn't just like a guy you're going to throw the little whatever contract at. No, JFM's going to demand some money out there, and he deserves it. And I would recommend him. I mean, as a Broncos fan, I'd say, yeah, take the hometown discount, but me, I would never. If he's listening to this, I personally wouldn't.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also, you got that Walton Penner money, Joey. So why can't they find a way to make it work? There's no reason this team can't be good for a very long time, given what that Walmart money is going to be able to do. And I don't want to regret those words going forward, right? Like my tune may change if I have a PSL when it comes to my season tickets, but I do think it's really important to point out the context of if they want to get it done, they probably can. I don't know what it's going to look like going forward, but there's always the ability to stretch that cap versus cash. And I am not the numbers guy. And unfortunately, Zach is not on here. Daniel Cisneros coming in with what's the cap looking like? Joey, do you have it off the top of your head? I know we've been talking about it a little bit in the side chat over in our group chat, but I don't really know what it's looking like going into the 2026 season because we're officially going to be free of that Russell Wilson money.
That's the main thing. So right now, the Broncos cap, they don't have much, which is a big talking point going up to the deadline was, hey, how did the Broncos even add somebody on a big contract? Example being a Jalen Waddle, right? How do they make that work in their current cap space?
Yeah.
They probably would have had to send somebody out. But like you mentioned, Brie, going into this next offseason, they're going to have money and a good amount of it. I don't have the exact figures on the top of my head, but with the Russell Wilson
looking
contract,
like an estimated 47.5-ish, just to be safe.
That's a ton of cash for a team that is already really well put together. And guys, this is the value of having a quarterback on a rookie contract. The difference between rookie contract quarterback to paid quarterback is huge. It's the massive reason why you can make all these signings right now. And then if they do extend Bo to a high paid contract, they're going to have to give up some of those pieces. It's just impossible to work around it that way. So yeah. So this next offseason, though, they'll be in good position to make some moves.
All right. Sounds good. No, Jamie, we didn't touch on the Alex Singleton situation yet, but I do want to take this moment to say that it is inevitably important that everybody, regardless of age, is very aware of their cancer screenings, given their, whether it's family history or you don't have any history whatsoever, always be on top of that. Alex Singleton happened to be very lucky to be caught on a random drug test that highlighted elevated HCG levels, which ultimately ended up being a fluke, but of the worst capacity. Really glad that he was able to catch that early and was able to have the surgery to remove the cancer. And at the end of the day, like, I got to say, it's pretty badass to know that he went out there in that game against the Raiders and was like, no, I'm going to get this done first, and then I'm going to take care of that. And I don't know, like, it's one of those things. You're not anticipating that anybody is going to have a bout with cancer. And I know many individuals who have been affected by it personally, and it's always a scary thing. So I hope that it was caught early and everything is, well situated. I don't know what it means as far as his playing status comes on Sunday. So he'll probably miss, just given like the whole situation of having surgery. It's something that your body is going to take some time to get over. Ultimately, it's going to be Justin Strnad and Drake Greenlaw. And then I would assume with Kareem Reed out, you're going to see LaVelle Bailey be the next guy up for some special teams work. But Joey, anything to say on that situation?
No, I'm happy for him that they found it fast. That's the news from that, is they found it fast, and it's not supposed to be like a life-altering thing for him, which is amazing. That's it. I just echo a lot of what you said, Brie.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, appreciate all the comments and questions. We are live. So if you're watching over on Twitter and you want to join the conversation, we're going to get to our bold predictions and score predictions a little bit later. We still have key matchups to talk about. It's been a busy news cycle today in Broncos country, as we're all highly anticipating what it's going to mean for Sunday, because matchups matter. So Joey, that I guess that leads into the conversation of what it looks like for the Broncos to go up against this Kansas City Chiefs team that has been struggling as of late, but I feel like you can never quite count them out. They're as though they're cockroaches, and I don't mean that disparagingly. It's just, why can't you die? And so it's coming at a moment where I think it's going to be a lot of ugly offense, specifically because both teams are going to be meeting their charge, right? The Broncos have beat the Chiefs in the past. They've broken the streaks. All of that is off of their backs for Sunday, but you still have this, I think this hesitation, because we've already talked about it. The run game specifically is going to, it's going to have an issue here. And I saw it mentioned very jokingly in the chat, but the screen game is going to be, it's going to be a big part of what this Broncos offense is going to have to lean into. But
Right.
what I'm hoping is that, we've talked about it, this Denver Broncos defense carrying the team is going to have to make life uncomfortable for Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have to very much so skew what Andy Reid's game plan is coming into this game, because I don't think that they're overlooking this whatsoever. They know this defense is legit. We try to do our part here on Let's Talk Broncos to talk them up, but there is a little bit of liability. And I want to ask you this, Joey, as you look at the Kansas City tackles there that are protecting Patrick Mahomes, that seems like the prime opportunity for a Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito duo to cause some havoc, not even considering the internal pressures that you're going to be seeing from a JFM and a Razarike, a Zach Allen, et cetera, DJ Jones. Like, what are you anticipating this defense to need to do to step up to unsettle KC?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say continue doing what they've been doing. It obviously sucks that Pat Surtain won't be available in this game. That's a big one. You'd love to have him for the KC game out of all of them, man. It would have been amazing. But I think these edge rushers are just so good that I think the Chiefs' game plan is going to be very similar to what you saw from the Raiders last week. Now, they're going to be a lot more effective than the Raiders were last week. They couldn't do anything past their first few drives. But if you guys really paid attention to what the Raiders were trying to do, it was just, hey, we're going to play in front of the sticks at the most we can. Now, they do it differently. The Raiders were trying to do it with screens and also running the football. I think it's going to be a little less running the football, a lot more quick game screens, RPOs from the Chiefs this next week. And they're just going to try to make it where we're not even going to allow this Broncos pass rush to get the opportunity to get going against us. I think that has been the most successful way of trying to attack this right now for the Broncos. That's what I would think too. Straight drop back passing just isn't the way. You're going to get negatives doing that against this Broncos defense. So I expect that, but I mean, yeah, I think the Broncos are going to keep it a close one. I said at the beginning of the show, their defense is just so good, Brie, that it's going to be a closer game than what a lot of people are, I would say, predicting outside of Denver. That's my opinion.
No, I absolutely believe that. The line is set at 3.5 for a reason. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a blowout of, unexpected proportions. Although, famous last words, right? I can't wait to sit there and sit through the trudging if it is a 35-point spread. But Isaiah Pacheco, running back for Kansas City Chiefs, did not practice with that knee injury, so that kind of takes away a little bit of what the Chiefs have been good at as far as getting their offense rolling quick. I was looking at a couple of other things. Simmons being a full participant, but being listed on the injury report. And then I didn't see anything else really too spectacular. George Karlaftis, limited practice with the thumb. I don't know if it's kind of the same thing Jonathan Cooper is dealing with. They're going to club it up and be fine. Although it does steal Jonathan Cooper's ability to get his hands around the ball. I think though, Joey, one of my keys to the game is going to be the turnover differential here. Is you're hoping that someone gets close to either a fumble recovery, pick six, an interception that leads to plus yardage, because the Broncos have been suffering victim and a curse to field position as of late, and they're not having the bevy of turnovers that have created such a leg up on offenses like this, where it's really changing the narrative of the game. I think, to me, that's going to be very important when it comes to, I think Patrick Mahomes is good for at least a interception a game. So why not make it multiple? We'll get to what that means as far as, I think Zach has a bold prediction pertaining to that. But how do you feel about turnovers in general? And then give me your next key for this matchup on Sunday.
Yeah, so turnovers. The Broncos, that's the one part of this defense that's been weird this year, where they just haven't generated many turnovers. They've just been shutting guys out, which is almost makes it even more impressive, right? It's not like these teams are getting the possessions cut off from a bad throw and an interception. No, the Broncos are just shutting these guys out, which is really crazy. But more turnovers would be awesome, putting the Broncos in better field position. That's an area the Broncos have been losing this entire year, and I'm going to say that's my key of the game, right? Is how do the Broncos win the field position battle? Special teams has been terrible. We really need to start having more conversations about their special teams coordinator. He's just getting off the, I don't know. I feel all these other special teams coordinators that we've had that have been bad. You remember Tom McMahon? What is this guy's name? That you just got fired from the Raiders. We were trying to run this fool out of Denver.
There were banners. There were planes flying over with calls to get him out of there.
We were trying to run this guy out of Denver, and Rizzy's just getting the pass every week. I'm tired of it. I'm going to start the thing. We need to get him out of here if this one is similar to the others, because we need to win field position battle. The Broncos, there is a recipe to where you can have a really good and even contending team with a subpar offense and a really elite level defense. There's a recipe there. It's happened before, right?
Mm-hmm.
A way you can't do that is if you constantly are losing field position and you're constantly committing, and you're constantly holding, or it's a DPI, or it's whatever. You're the most flag team in the league. You can't do that. You can't be the subpar offense that can't dig yourself out of a hole because you're always holding or whatever. And then you also can't win that way when you're losing the field position battle every single week. So I would just say special teams. I'm going to need a little more out of my punter this next week. You can't do that again.
No, and hopefully it's not as windy as it was on Thursday, because gross, that caused a little bit of issues. But I also don't think it was that, because the Raiders unit had an entirely different escapade out there, right? 3 almost back-to-back coffin kicks. It was disgusting. So, Daniel Cisneros, I love this. It'll lead into our next talking point. Sustained drives on offense would be nice. Would really like to see Bo plant and throw.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole direction that everyone is hoping that this offense takes, right? You need to see the foundation outward, build from the inside within. Bo to calm down a little bit, take a deep breath, and understand that those big throws are going to happen when they happen, but plant your feet and let's get it rolling. But Sean Payton also needs to understand, right? We were talking about it to start the show. The boogeyman does not exist. There's not one person who can be implicated for the slow ability for this Broncos offense to get it done. I think it ends up on everyone's hands, and it turns up in all phases of the game that they need to find what's going to work against this opponent, and long extended drives, time of possession, not shooting yourself in the foot with penalties, and ultimately banking on a couple of explosive plays are the only way that you're going to be able to sustain those drives, get down the field, and score some points. Because if you don't score any points, Kansas City is going to run on you. Not necessarily do I think that they'll score a bunch of points, but they will score more, and then will ultimately walk away with the win, which at the end of the day, streaks will need to come to an end, Joey, right? We are not sitting here saying the Broncos are going to win out. It's not reasonable. It's not how the NFL works. And at any point in time, a team can dethrone you. Yeah. They're not sitting alone atop the AFC, right? There are other very capable teams, as you see the Colts and the Patriots absolutely dominate with their quarterback just reaching this ascension point, but they do have run games to lean on. So as the Broncos tend to say, we don't have that quite yet. I think the optimization of it is, well, you use what you have and you use it to the best of its ability. So Sean Payton, in my opinion, will need to get away from wanting to run the offense that he wants to run and run the offense that is best suited to what he presently has at bay to help success go up. And that also needs to mean that Bo needs to settle in a little bit and figure out what's going to even him out a little bit for all 4 quarters of the game, because at the end of the day, I don't think you can play 4th quarter catch up when it comes to the Chiefs. So Joey, when it comes to, I don't even know, passing game and explosive plays, if Marvin Mims is back or if he isn't, what is the struggling, somewhat middle of a pack and passing Denver Broncos offense going to have to do to improve efficiency?
I think an area they've been lacking this whole year is throwing the intermediate ball, and I see it on film. Like, it's funny because this has been like, go back and watch Drew Brees. I mean, I could even like Drew Brees. That's where he made his money, is like over the middle intermediate football. And Bo Nix, you saw it a lot last year. This year you haven't seen it. I credit a lot of this to, and I talked about this a lot this offseason. We all talk about how Bo Nix doesn't get sacked, right? And this is a great thing. He does not get sacked. He's good at avoiding pressure. He's good at getting the ball out of his hands in a timely manner most of the time, these type of things. What I would like to see from him, though, is the sack is a drive killer. I totally agree. And, you take your lumps, right? But in holding on to the football. But some of these plays, I almost wish he would take more sacks if it means that he's looking down the field, trying to get the ball off and buying him a little extra time to throw the ball, rather than just trying to throw it away or making something happen that way, hitting his check down so fast, whatever it might be. I do wish there's a middle ground there. I don't necessarily know if you want to be the guy that's known for never getting sacked, because that usually means you're giving up on the play pretty easily. Yeah.
Zach's in the chat and he said, "Spit, Joey. Nate Tice made this same point this week. So look at you.
Great minds then. Great minds
think alike." Joey, anything else that you can highlight as a key to this Denver Broncos team competing with the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday? Or do you want to move on to maybe some of what your bold prediction may be?
Key to the game, I mean, I think I said two. My two would just be special teams and then flags. Like, these aren't just keys to the game, but this is keys to the season too, I would say. Yes. But I mean, for such a big game, I'm going to make them my keys of the game. Bold prediction for this one, I'm literally thinking of this on the spot, guys. I'm going to go RJ Harvey because I want it to happen. I was a fan out of him out of college, right? I want it to happen. I'm going to go that I'll go 85 all-purpose yards. Is this fair?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Or I'll go 100. Why the hell not? Because Zach's about to type something ludicrous in the comments. I'll go 100. 100 all-purpose yards for RJ Harvey this week. It's his breakout game as far as, hey, he's more than just a pass catcher who's going to spell your actual running back.
I mean, that's a lot, Joey.
It is. It's a lot. He's going to get his opportunities this game, though, so I hope he makes the most of them.
No, I mean, yeah. Where else is it going to go?
Bidet. People are going to have to brace themselves. Bidet's getting an increase in snaps this week, guys. Brace yourself. People are going to hate it, but it's going to happen. They don't have a pass protector in that room. Jaleel McLaughlin can't pass protect. RJ Harvey can't pass protect. Bidet's your best one. Yes. He's going to have to.
That's fair. Cisneros is telling me to go down to call it over under 85. I agree. I think it's way too rich for my blood, even given the emphasis on how much we're going to see RJ Harvey. I'd really like to see him used in some fun short yardage hook routes right behind the line. Like, just give me something quick. Give me a dump off. To me, that's better than just trying to spam what I feel like the Broncos have been doing. That's been leading them to shy away from the run. Samuel, I don't think Bandy is on the active roster this Sunday, unfortunately, so I'm going to fade you as well. Fade? I still can't remember the rules. Joey, I disagree with your bold prediction. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're fading it, yeah.
I will give you the opportunity to make fun of Zach's here in just a second. Let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, thank God. What is it going to be? He's going to say RJ Harvey. Is he passing again, or is he maybe it's a field goal.
No, he decided, since he saw Cortland Sutton take a pass attempt, that it was now going to be little Jordan Humphrey's turn to throw it for a touchdown. No, he said Talanoa Hufanga gets his first takeaway of the season, an interception or a fumble recovery. So right in line with kind of what one of my keys of the game was. I think it's very bold choosing someone specifically, so I'm going to give him ups for that.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to agree with him because like that feels like who's going to be hunting Patrick Mahomes? It's going to be Hufanga.
I'll take him up on this one, Brie. I think it's a little just too rich for me to put it all on one. If he was going to say he caused a turnover, maybe I could be there with him on that. But the one getting it, because you got to remember, like, Hufanga could just tip the ball up in the air. Somebody else runs under it and gets the pick. He doesn't get it. What can you read exactly what he said again, Brie, to me?
Yeah, absolutely. He said Hufanga gets his first takeaway of the season, either an interception or fumble recovery. So number 9 has to come away with it.
Fumble recovery. So forced fumble doesn't count in this either. See, I'm definitely taking him up on this bet.
All right. Okay. I've been waffling back and forth on mine because I feel like the emphasis, and I've just been rolling with the defense and saying that they're just going to start racking up sacks again. And then they let me down just a little bit, but it's so funny, like sometimes there's 0 sacks in a game. It's just the line is too tough, but there's a little bit of an injury bug and a little bit of a liability that I called to start the show. I'm just feeling really good about where this Broncos team is headed, especially as Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, as they start to really ramp up. I think there's going to be a ton of holding from the Kansas City's offensive line. So that's probably going to make one of them very mad. And I think the other one is going to try to make up for it. So I'm thinking 4+ sacks at minimum for this Denver Broncos defense. I know it's big. Three is, I kind of think, like the number. So I'm going to go 4 to make it bold.
I'll take you up on it, but I think that this one, I don't know. I'm going to take you up on it because that's my rule here. I'm just going to, that's my rule. You guys are wrong. So I will take you up on the bet, but I
have to make you look stupid on the internet. That's my rule.
I had a bet. I won on one where I said the Broncos will have more than 6 sacks, and they had like 9 this year. So I think this defense is so good. It would almost be shocking if they didn't get 4 sacks, but I'll take you up on it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Samuel Castro said, I think Bryant has 6 catches for 75 yards on Sunday.
I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. I do think you're going to see that specifically because Sean Payton was just without prompting calling for the emphasis on like Pat Bryant is a guy. So yeah, why not? We've seen that ramp up a little bit. Why not lean into it? Why not make Pat Bryant throw for a touchdown? I think that would be interesting. I'm giving Zach a hard time. Zach and I are very close, but we are switched. Zach thinks that Kansas City wins 19-17. Okay. I'm going Broncos 20-17. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be that close, like to where it's 2 or 1 point, but I do think it'll be within that 3-point mark. I'm a little bit nervous, but I gotta lean it here. It's the vibes of, this Kansas City Chiefs team is not as scary, but this Broncos team is scarier, right? But if the defense can close out and they can do all the right things and carry this team to a win, I don't know who they can't beat.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I was going back and forth on this game. Like I said, I think a lot of people, Brie, they're just expecting the Broncos to tank at any time. It's the luckiest team ever. Yeah, no, not really. What's happening, I'm going to say it again like I did at the beginning of the Broncos defense is just really good, and the offense has struggled, which then makes it a close game because both teams aren't scoring. It is what it is. It's not the Broncos are getting lucky. It's that they're causing a lot of close games and are executing better in the fourth. That's what's happening. It's not some luck thing. I really can't stand it. There's something to the Broncos just executing better than the other teams in the fourth quarter, and they're playing these other defenses compared to when these offenses are playing our defense. It's part of it. But
No, shout it
yeah,
from the rooftops, Joey. I think we should clip this. Honestly, I think you should quote tweet the show with that specifically, or at least leave everybody guessing so they tune in to actually watch it, because it needs to be said over and over and over again. It's not by happenstance that this team is 8-2. It might feel like you're flying by the skin of your teeth here, but they're getting it done. And Sean Payton said the wins are addictive, and I think they're going to do whatever they need to do in order to get this dub. But Joey, one more time for me, what was your score prediction here for Broncos Chiefs?
so with that, I'm going to go Chiefs though this game, and I think, or hopefully, I'm just dead wrong. I'm going to go 17-14 Chiefs in this one. I think a big deciding factor was the Chiefs are really good off a bye. I think the Broncos play it close. I think it's one of those games where, hey, Chiefs coming off a bye, they play better than the Broncos do. The Broncos immediately go on a bye, and it's not the season's over. I don't think it would be. I'm not going to come on the show and be, oh, it's crashing. No, I'm not going to do that either.
No, because again, a loss has to happen at some point, or does it? We've seen teams go before. Maybe this is the year, and the Broncos need to figure it out. They need to find the spark on offense. They need to take some pressure off the defense. And for the love of God, somebody talk to Darren Rizzi. What is wrong with the special teams unit? I'm sure they'll turn it around. A long break after this Chiefs game leads through a bye is going to absolutely help before they head to face the Commanders, which will be a completely different story when we hop on to break that all down. But we'll be back to talk more about you. If you didn't already catch it, go check Altitude Adjustment out on the Let's Talk Broncos network, where Mario Vitanzi was joined by Ryan Edwards. That was a fantastic show, and I very highly suggest that you watch it right after this one. And then ultimately look for us in the recap episode. Most likely is going to be Zach Seegers, Mike Carmelini, and David Talks Broncos. Absolutely stunner of a combination as they break down whatever the result may be. And I'm sure you're going to be tuned in to hear just that. So thanks for joining us this evening, and we'll catch you next time. Joey, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.